This is the new Peugeot 308 and it's a bit like James Bond's Misses. It's French and it's beautiful. Now in this video I'm going to talk you through the exterior design, the interior, I'm going to try out some of its technology, I'm going to see how practical it is, and of course I'm going to take it for a drive. I'm Mark Watson and you're watching CarWow. Buy, sell, CarWow. Let's start this video by talking about the design of this new 308, and yeah, from the rear it's a good looking car. I like the rear light design, the fact on higher spec cars you get this gloss black trim, it's body colour on lower spec models. You've got Peugeot's new badge there, look at it. I'm not so sure about this. Look, yeah, look, I'm going to have to use this, the CarWow stick of truth. It's been a while, my friend, but let's use you. Look at these awful fake exhausts. What is that all about? Let's move down the side quickly. So alloy wheel sizes start at 16 inches. These are 17s, though they do go up to 18s. Got blacked out rear windows for that moody look. I don't know why I'm walking like that. I love this red paint, it really stands out, doesn't it? And good creases here at the front of the car. Most dramatic part though is the front. Look at it with the new grille, the new nose, the fact that you've got 308 badge here on the bonnet. It's like Peugeots of the past. And once again, look, the big new Peugeot logo. Now they call that their Lion Shield. Though Lion Shield sounds a bit more like a deodorant, doesn't it? Hey, when I work out, I like to use Lion Shield. Keeps me fresh. Another thing that's lion-esque on this car is the fangs. Got the lion fangs there. Daytime running lights. So on the entry-level cars, it's not daytime running lights, it's just some kind of trim. Anyhow, starting price of this car, £24,000. Though if you want the hybrid, it's going to start from over £33,000. Now, if you're thinking about buying this car, or any car for that matter, you need to check out CarWow to see how much you can save on your next car. Also, if you buy a new car, you probably need to sell your current car, and you can do that through CarWow as well. All you have to do is upload some photos, give a description, and our dealers will bid on your car so you get a good price for it. Now, to do that, you can click on the pop-out button up there or follow the link in the description below. Alternatively, if you want to do it after this video, simply Google "Wow Me CarWow" and we'll wow you. The inside of this 308 is even better looking than the outside. I mean, the design is just so cool. Look at the sweeping dash, the different textures you've got, and quality is really good. In fact, the interior of this just absolutely blows a Volkswagen Golf out of the water. Now, some people won't like Peugeot's small steering wheel and the way you have to look at the dials over the top of the steering wheel. I know that if people are really tall or small, sometimes the steering wheel will just block their view. For me, it works perfectly and it feels really sporty. And there is quite a lot of adjustment in the driving position anyway. But yeah, if you're thinking about buying one of these cars, you really should test drive it to make sure that this cockpit thing works for you and it doesn't do your head in. One thing that I really like is the fact that you do get a large infotainment screen as standard across the range, and the system is pretty slick. You know, it's responsive, it's easy to navigate. Tell you the truth though, I actually wouldn't bother using the Peugeot infotainment system. I just plug in my phone and use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto instead. Now, if you are using their system, you can jump between different menus quite quickly using this panel down here. Now, they are touch sensitive buttons, so they're not as easy to use as physical buttons, but because the icons are large, they're quite easy to hit while you're driving along. You do have physical buttons for certain key features underneath here, so if you want to suddenly do the windscreen demisting, that's a physical button. Blimey, that almost blew my eyeballs out. Some other things to note is that you've got quite a decent amount of storage here. So there's a storage area there, you've got USB port there, you've got your 12-volt socket. There's also a charging pad for your mobile phone up there. I like the fact that you have this little gear selector. It's nice and neatly integrated. There's another storage area there. I suppose you could put your phone there if you wanted to. There's also a bit of storage under here with another USB input. So that's pretty good. And underneath here are your cup holders. There's room for like big flasks and smaller bottles. And you've got big door bins as well. And look at this, a big glove box. It used to be that Peugeot had small glove boxes in right-hand drive cars because you'd have the fuse box in there, but they fixed that problem and they've even lined the glove box with felt. Yeah, it feels very premium, this thing does. I'm impressed. Here in the back seats, the Peugeot 308 is adequate. So this seat is my usual driving position. Knee room, it's okay. Headroom, once again, it's okay. People over 6 foot will find it a bit of a squeeze. And really, if you want a car in this class that is bigger in terms of rear practicality, you need to check out the Skoda Octavia. And if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below. If you want to carry 3 people in the back at once, you can do, but once again, it's a real squeeze. In terms of carrying a baby seat, the Isofix anchor points aren't the easiest to get to. They're behind these zipped up covers, right? And it's quite hard to open the zip. However, once you've done that, it is easy to get the ISOFIX anchor points on there, and it's not difficult to maneuver the seat in the back of the car because the door openings are quite wide. However, you will have to move the front passenger seat a little bit forward if you've got one of the bulky rear facing seats, but still the person in the front will still have enough room, so that's fine. I'll tell you what's also fine, big back window, that's good. You get a good view out, and there's a little bit of practicality back here, so you've got some pockets in the seat backs. The door bins here in the back are large as well. Look, that glass fits no problem at all. One thing that's not so good is that for the armrest, there's no actual like tab to pull it down, so you have to wedge your hand in there. You do have some practicality here with some cup holders, but they're exposed, which means you do end up putting your arm in them when you're not using them for holding cups. I like this though. It's not the biggest, but there is some through loading there. It's a little ski hatch, so you can fit some skis through there if you're going on holiday and so have people sat either side. One last thing to note is this. Look, 2 USB charging ports there for the people in the back, which is good. Let's move on to the boot. Now, it's actually pretty large, 412 litres, which is better than a Ford Focus's, Volkswagen Golf, and loads of other cars in this category as well. And it's a useful square shape. There's a bit of a load lip, but it's not the height that's the problem. It's the distance from here to the back of the bumper. So if you're lifting heavy stuff out, you've got to be careful not to scratch your paintwork. Oh. Right, there is a bit of storage under here. Now this is the hybrid, and you get a little bit less underfloor storage because of the hybrid system. It's 50 litres less, but even then the boot's still quite a decent size. And if you need to carry larger items, of course, you fold down the rear seats like that. There we go. There is a bit of a ridge there. It's not terrible, but it does mean that it's a bit harder to just like push things to the front. So you have to do that. You do have some nets here and some tie down points, which is good. But what's not so good though is there doesn't seem to be a 12-volt socket anywhere. And that brings us on to 5 annoying things about this Peugeot 308. Not only do you get a lot of horrible grubby fingerprints on this infotainment screen and the panel below it, but you also get them on this gloss back on the steering wheel when you're pressing up the buttons and kind of missing a bit. If the car is unlocked, then so too is the port for the charger, which is as it should be. However, for some reason, the flap for the fuel filler is locked unless you press a button in the cabin. There's no guides for the rear seat belt, so when you fold down the rear seats, this happens to the seat belt, then they can loose like that. When you put the seat back, it gets trapped. As standard, the plug-in hybrid version of this car only comes with 3.5 kilowatt charging. So if you want to charge its 12 kilowatt hour battery, it takes 3 hours. Now you can pay extra to upgrade to 7 kilowatt charging, but really, it should be standard. There's no place to store the load cover underneath this false floor. Look, there's not enough room, which means that, yeah, you have to put it in there. So if you put heavy stuff on it, it's going to get crushed. You know what that means? Oh yes, I'm going to have to throw it, aren't I? Now before you start writing, go, Matt, you always treat cars badly, why do you do that? Well look, I've actually employed a man to catch the parcel shelves that I throw so that people don't moan that I damage them. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. If it's raining and you put the car into reverse, then it automatically operates the rear windscreen wiper, so you get a clear view out the back window. All but the entry-level model gets this high-definition surround view camera system, and you can touch on different parts to look through different cameras. See, all around the car. There, see, it's good. If you had the plug-in hybrid version of this car, you can actually heat or cool the car's cabin remotely using an app on your phone. Worried about your children breathing in nasty pollution as you drive through the city? Well, don't worry, you can get this car with a special upgraded air purification system which will actually filter out all the nasty particulates. It'll even show you when you're driving through an area with clean or dirty air. With a lot of hatchbacks, the boot release is either here or here, and it can actually get covered with grime as you're driving along, and then you get that on your hands when you open the boot. However, the boot release on this car is just under this little ridge here, so it's protected from the road grime, so your hands are always clean. You can get the 308 with a choice of petrol, diesel or hybrid power. The entry-level engine is a 1.2 litre turbocharged petrol. It's got 3 cylinders and it puts out 131 horsepower. Then there's the 1.5 litre diesel. Once again, it's a 3-cylinder and it also has 131 horsepower. Then there's the hybrids. So there's 2 of them. They use a 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol engine mated to an electric motor, and you can get it with either 180 horsepower or 225 horsepower. All models are automatic and front-wheel drive. But which one should you go for? Well, do you know what? I have configured what I think is the pick of the Peugeot 308 range using the carwow configurator, and I've got an offer back. And if you want to see what the actual configuration is I've chosen and the price of the car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below. Right then, let's see what this Peugeot 308 is like to drive in town. First thing I'm going to try out is the regen braking mode, because this is the hybrid. I put it into B mode and it increases the amount of regen. It slows you down pretty well. Eventually you do have to touch the brakes, and when you do, they're a little bit grabby, so they take a wee while to get used to. Maybe that's just the hybrid. One thing I can't fault though is the steering. It's nice and light for manoeuvring in town, which is good news. Visibility is pretty decent. The view out the back window is all right. The door mirrors are big enough, and the view forward is pretty good as well. Another thing to note is the suspension. It does a good job of going over bumps, this thing. Now, the hybrid is actually 300 kilos heavier than the normal car, and as a result, it's got stiffer suspension, but even then, it doesn't feel uncomfortable over bumps, which is good news. What's also good news is that you've got an automatic gearbox as standard, because you don't have to mess around changing gears. And the gear shifts are pretty decent as well. I'll tell you what's really good though, and that's the turning circle of 10.5 meters. It's better than most hatchbacks of this size, and I'll demonstrate now. Here we go, mini roundabout. Oh, I did come at a bad angle, but I was still going to make it round. I can't believe I made it round then. I entered it pretty badly, but still, it went round no problem at all. And I didn't annoy too many people by having to do a 3-point turn on a mini roundabout. So this car, yeah, it's good in town. Now you can put it in electric only mode, this hybrid version, and then just poodle around on electric. So no engine running. But if you give a little bit of a sudden stab to the accelerator, that petrol motor suddenly kicks in. It's quite smooth how it does it, but if you want to build at speed when you're in electric mode, you have to do it very, very steadily. That said, it will drive at motorway speeds on electric power alone, but it won't go that far if you're going high speed. I mean, if you're going slow and being a bit more careful, you can do over 30 miles on electric power alone. Now, this car was delivered to me with an empty battery, so it's just been running actually like a normal hybrid in a way, because I haven't been able to plug it in. And it's averaged 45 miles per gallon. So if you plug it in and you use that electric power a lot, you should be able to run this car very, very cheaply. Now, if you do lots of motorway miles though, you're probably going to be better off going for the diesel version of this car, because it'll be more economical overall. And on the motorway, this car is actually pretty good, you know. So it's reasonably quiet, the seats are comfy. Mid-spec versions and above get automatic cruise control with lane keeping assist, and it'll even do that thing where it'll change lanes for you if you just use the indicator, and it'll steer in the lane to overtake a car in front. Now then, let's see what this car is like to drive on a twisty road. Oh, so this small steering wheel gives you the impression that it's quite sporty, and actually it does respond well to your inputs. It doesn't feel as fun or playful in the way that a Ford Focus does, but it certainly grips the road very well, and it's confidence inspiring. Yeah, it's quite good. I think Peugeot have done a really good job actually with this car in the way that it drives, and the way that it looks, and the way that it makes you feel when you're sat in it. So then, what's my final verdict on this new Peugeot 308? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the 308. It might not have the biggest back seats or be the most fun small hatchback to drive. However, it looks great, it feels expensive inside, yet it's cheap to run. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like. Now, which would you rather have, this 308 or a Volkswagen Golf? Let me know by voting in my pinned comment. If you want to watch some more videos, click on those windows there. And if you're thinking about selling or buying a new car, click on that box there to go to CarWow. We'll wow you.